Hello again, and welcome to the cutting board. Today, we have talked about a cutting board and different things, but today we want to talk about the knives that are going to go on the cutting board. This is my friend Erik Bellerose, and he is the area sales director.
That's right.
Of Dexter Knives. What is Dexter Knives and where are you?
So just to give a little background history about Dexter Russell itself, we are actually a Massachusetts-made company, and actually since 1818.
Wow.
So we have been over in Southbridge, Massachusetts, which is probably about 60 miles west of here, middle of nowhere, scenic nowhere. But we have been cranking out American-made cutlery in our facility now for over 200 years, like I said, and specializing in everything from chef's knives, industrial, putty knives, and the whole 9 yards. To kind of give you the whole background of Dexter, we are actually formed by two major cutlery companies in the United States. One is the Harrington Cutlery Company, and the other one is the John Russell Cutlery Company. John Russell Cutlery actually did a lot of skinning knives back in the early 1830s, while the Henry Harrington Company did a lot of actually medical stuff.
Wow.
No cutlery or anything like that. But over time, as time evolved and everything started happening between the Great Depression and whatnot, the two companies actually joined together in the late 1930s, which is now the name brand known as Dexter Russell or Russell Harrington. Up until 2001, it was never really called Dexter, it was called Russell Harrington. So that's why a lot of people might be confused with the whole Dexter name. But in 2001, we changed the name to make it Dexter Russell for name brand recognition. And most of the products like you see here out in the world on the computer or everything like that, it's a lot easier to recognize.
I remember my father was a butcher and my grandfather was a butcher, and we had, well, I remember seeing the big butcher knives, the cleavers that were the Dexter knives or the Russell, and it was, even now we still have some in our kitchens at our school because our students use these knives because it's very versatile, it's affordable for them, and it's a great piece of equipment or a tool, because you need good tools to create good products.
Right.
So if I'm going to look for a knife, I'm at home now and I'm, a house person, as you may say it, and I need to buy some knives for at home that's going to be long lasting, or congratulations, I hear you just are going to be married.
Right.
So we have plenty of people who, what would be a great gift is a knife set.
Right.
So what would I be looking for in a knife?
So with Dexter too, beyond our quality control and everything that we do, you might not hear about us too much. And the only reason because of that is that we're mainly in the food service industry. We are in about 75% of the commercial industry. That's why you really don't hear about us if you go to like a Bed Bath & Beyond or anything like that. But that doesn't mean you don't have access to getting everything that we have. A lot of the stuff that I show a lot of times that go into a commercial market or anything like a Sani-Safe knife, which is our plastic polypropylene style handle. It's a non-slip ergonomic type grip, great in a commercial market. For at home, we do offer a bit of different items with something like the Dexter Soft Grip, which is super nice rubber style pattern handle. Again, non-slip. That's the joy of all of our handles, is everything is non-slip ergonomic. It's a great item. I
think I have a boning knife with this handle that I got from a butcher shop. In fact,
perfect.
You could buy those. That's very nice.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Yep, so with Dexter, again, the big thing that we offer is American-made cutlery. What makes us stand out from competitors is we actually have our own patented made steel made for us. I can't tell you exactly where because it's almost like KFC where we have our secret ingredients.
Ingredients.
I'm not allowed to tell you, but it is manufactured in the United States. It's shipped to us in 3-ton coils, and then what we do from there is we actually take the process of making the knife inside of our facility. And one of the first steps you might see, kind of showing you what you might not see, in a knife, because obviously looking at, these two things, they look completely different. Obviously it's two pieces, it's the steel and then the handle, but you guys really don't get to see that as an end user. So what we do with our products, when we get them, it's almost like a big industrial cookie cutter, where we have a giant laser and we're actually lasering out the shape of the knife, like what you see here. So this is essentially what the beginning product of your knife is going to be, where it's our quality made items, and then we're basically giving you a handle that's going to fit your hand, or that's going to be best for you in the home kitchen or at work, whatever. One easy way that you can kind of see what your steel is going to be, a lot of times, us included, or competitors, is we actually put what the quality of the steel is going to be. So for us, it's called Dex steel. All right. So with Dex steel, what that means for anyone at home or anyone that's in the workplace, it's a high carbon stain free, which means that it's super easy to resharpen, super easy to use, and it's a lifetime warranty. It's a great piece to have, and that goes for all of our items that we make over in Southbridge. So there's, like I was telling Chef Gloria before, there's an acronym that I want you guys to remember by the end of this. It's called CHEF, all right? And I'll kind of go through bits and pieces, if that's all right with you, about what I mean by CHEF and exactly, you know, how to maintain your items and what goes into a quality made item. So the first one, I kind of touched basis on it before, is the C, which stands for the chemical compounds that go into something like a knife. So the chemical compounds, the basic ones you're going to find in steel, your iron, carbon, chromium, manolium, vanadium, stuff that's going to help prevent that corrosion resistance, stuff that's going to give it, you know, tensile strengthness, stuff that's going to make your knife go to the distance. With Dexter, we're not the Bugattis, we're not the Mercedes of the world, you know, the 300 style, you know, $300 chef's knife. Where you're every day, go to work, it's going to last the distance, it's going to give you the distance. Whether you're at home, whether you're at work, it's all the same. It's all the same quality control that we offer, and it's all the great American-made product that goes into it. One of the big things, again, I kind of showed the difference before, is that this is what we call a stamped or a blanked item, where what we're doing is we're not making the full piece of steel like a, where I drop all these. Not like a forged item like you see here, which is one continuous piece of steel. We do offer them, of course. Bristol Community College is actually doing our iCut Pro version, which is the non-wood style handle, which I think that would be a little difficult if you did do wood in a culinary instructor's kitchen, so might not be best. But we do offer two styles in our products, which is stamped, again, or forged. Stamped is more inexpensive. It's easier to replace. This is your $30 knife. Right. So all the items that I basically brought, again, which is what we offer more in the food service side of things, is all stamped product because it's easily replaceable versus, you know, $300 versus $30 as such. So with that being said, I'm going to move off into the H, which is a heat treatment process. And if anyone knows anything about knives, is that the heat treatment process is basically the soul of the knife. So in this process, what we're doing, and I like to explain this process because you guys obviously can't see it in our facility, but the way I describe the process is that almost think like when you're in a kitchen, and sometimes a lot of people have those bagel rotators, right? Where you put them on that little conveyor belt. Yeah. That's exactly what we do with our items. Is we're putting it on that conveyor belt in about a 4 to 5 minute span, and what's happening over time is there's different stages where the heat is rising and the temperature is dropping to mix all those chemical compounds together, like your chromium, vanadium, vanadium, like I said before, and it gives it all that structure, nice and tight grain structure, like we were talking about before. And one of the things I was showing off before is I have the Dexter version of our heat treatment versus a competitor's, and you can notice that there's
all speckles in this one. This is nice and smooth, and you don't see it's all basically the one color. This one has little like crystals in there. Right.
So and those crystals are all giant pockets.
Oh, like air pockets.
Exactly. And the problem with that is that if I was going to resharpen my own product and I had the competitor's version and it had all those pockets, eventually as I'm sharpening, what's going to happen is that, imagine on the edge of that blade, that's where those pockets are.
You have little spots.
It's going to start chipping away, and eventually your knife is just going to be destroyed.
That's why they stay, you know, for years and years, your knives have been a plus because, like I said, over the years we've had butcher knives and everything else that we just resharpen them and we just, you know, they're great.
Right. So that's such a key thing, especially for a knife, is understanding. And you can ask all these questions, like if you ever go to like a country fair and you always see those guys who are selling stuff, you can ask them these questions, you know, where's the heat treatment done? Or what's the product made out of? Exactly. Is it forged or blanked?
Because we see those new shows now that they're making their own knives.
Right, Forged in Fire.
Forged in Fire.
Great show.
And I'm seeing a lot of around here blacksmithing programs to learn how to do this.
Right.
And so that's a good plus with your heat program to get all your nice layers together. Right. Like we talked about, it's layers like a brick wall.
Exactly.
So you can, anything works and it stays nice and strong.
Right. And again, that goes back to me saying that whole heat treatment process is the soul of the knife. It either makes or breaks that product. If you have a terrible heat treatment done to that product, and like I said before, you see those pockets inside, your knife is going to be crap. It might look on the outside, you know, great and flashy, but then when it comes down to it and you need to start sharpening it up, it's, you know, and you hit those pockets, it's chipped, it's done. There's no saving it. So.
Now E, you got me S-H-E.
So E stands for edge profiling. So I'll kind of work over this way. That way we can showcase the product as well, if you want.
We have our new cutting board. And
beautiful cutting board. I'm about to ruin it.
That's all right. No, we put the cutting boards with knives. Again, it's all about the correct tools that you would have. A good cutting board, good knives, because it's safety first.
Right. So the first edge that we offer, and you're going to see this just about everywhere you go, is a straight edge. It's a double convex grind. There's nothing flashy about it. Straight edge. This is the chef's best friend. All right. You're going to see this for anything that needs slicing and dicing, which I might need your help in a minute because you're a lot better than I am.
Oh.
So anything that needs slicing and dicing, mincing, cutting straight cuts of meat, anything like that, this is going to be your best friend. This is essentially the universal knife that you can use for anything, but obviously with other products might be, you know, better for something else. This goes for a chef's knife. It goes for boning knives, fillet knives. Again, anything that needs those straight cuts of meat, anything like that. So I'm actually just going to leave that there. In the other one, which I'll talk about, there's two variations of this, and one of them people say falsely, one of them is a correct one in the food service industry, and that is the scalloped edge. So scalloped versus serrated, because I always hear people say serrated, and I kind of cringe on that.
Serrated, and just the difference, you can see the look difference.
Right. So scalloped is more food service friendly. So scalloped is meant to pierce anything that has a hard crust or rind, such as a bread or, you know, watermelon or cantaloupe, anything like that. But it's not destroying the inside product. So what I mean by that is when you look at it, you obviously see those teeth, but then on the inside, I call them little valleys or waves. That actually keeps the product on the inside, like bread, keeps all that inside product nice and straight. So we'll kind of show it off a little bit later on how that looks. But those are so important in the cutting process because
you don't want things to fall apart.
Right. Presentation is everything, as I'm sure you know. That's one of the biggest things. So scallop, that can obviously be, it doesn't need to be as tight as that. I do have other stuff that, you know, we'll show later that does have a scalloped edge, but, you know, is meant for different stuff. The other one, we call this a duo edge over at Dexter. And these are called Cullens, or football shapes, whatever appeases to you. But for folks at home, this is probably one of the best items that you can have, okay? So with the dual edge, it generally gets associated with roast slicer or anything like that.
That's when I've used it for meats.
Right. So you notice it's got these individual Cullens, but on the opposite side has the same thing, but it's not lined up. It's like every other.
Okay, so wherever there would be a space, it'd be opposite.
It'd be opposite.
Makes sense.
So the purpose of a dual edge roast slicer or a dual edge, you know, Granton edge, because a lot of times people call them Granton edge. If you have anything on like a roast beef or a beef brisket, anything that has moisture on the inside, if I was going to cut that with like a chef's knife, I would experience a lot of suctioning problem.
Right.
So the Cullens, what it does is it traps that air, moisture, lubricant, oils, whatever inside. So as you're cutting, it's giving you a nice clean cut.
And it's not all sticking and whatever. Very
and nice. This is also good, comes in a Santoku style as well, which is great for stuff like a tomato, anything that has that moisture on the inside.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers, yeah. All that good stuff. But yeah, it mainly gets associated with a roast slicer because a lot of times it's like turkey, it's roast beef, stuff like that. But again, these are three of the main edges that we offer. In most of our products, we have 13 lines 2,200 items that come in
That's a
all
lot.
these styles.
Nice.
So
I use this one a lot, like when I'm doing, like this is for meats and stuff, and I've done it with tomatoes.
yeah, it's great on tomatoes,
tomatoes.
especially a Santoku knife. Obviously, a 12-inch
Yeah.
for a tomato might
No.
be a little iffy, but you know, is
Long
what it
zucchini.
is, right? So the fourth one that we offer, this is the serrated. So when you say serrated, I really want you to look at these teeth on this blade. And you'll notice it's not...
Not as big on the scalloped part. In the
No,
inside,
but they're going in
they're-
every which direction,
Right.
if you notice that.
It's almost like, reminds me of a rip saw.
Right.
When you're ripping through more than slicing.
So with the serrated edge, this is meant for ripping and tearing. And we have a off branch of Dexter called Dexter Outdoors, and they do a lot with the fishermen that use it for chunking or baiting,
Yeah.
anything like that, where
Chunk.
they don't need to have
Right.
presentation as it's going
just
overboard.
cut it up and they want to
cut it up
cut
and
and
it
go.
goes gone. So this is meant for ripping and tearing. You can use it on ice blocks. You can use it with meat, anything like
ice blocks
that.
is-
Yeah, because a lot of times when
You
they're
just
cutting
need to
stuff out of ice,
chunk
they're-
a little bit
right,
out of there.
Right. So
Wow. Very nice edges, so it'll give you a different idea of what you want to use is the appropriate knife. Tomatoes, meat, or bigger pieces.
yeah, let's actually put that to the test. And just
What would
grab
you like?
some. Let's go with the pepperoni at first because I want to show off the scalloped edge, and then the bread as well.
Sometimes people will buy pepperoni already cut, but then you only get it what size thinness they do.
Right.
So I'll put this and I'll put the bread over here for that. There we go. Now I like, chunked style different ways, or are you making it for my pizza or?
Right. Yeah. Let's say we're going for the pizza here.
So he sells knives, but the thing is he doesn't cut much because your fingers should be rolled over.
Right.
So we don't take the tips off of them.
Right.
I learned that on my first catering job. When my finger was out a little bit, took the finger right off.
Well, luckily I have your guidance here. But
See how nice that cuts?
You notice that even when I'm cutting, I don't have to struggle or go multiple times back and forth to get to that product. I can easily just glide through one stroke.
Because pepperoni is hard.
It is very hard. And then obviously those scalloped edge too, if it's a quality made product, it's gonna fall apart on you if it's bad. But with scalloped, such as the Dexter scalloped edge bread knife or utility knife, it's good for another usage.
Let's see if I can get real thin. See, it cuts just like butter.
Right.
You can make your slices as thin or thick as you want. Beautiful, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's a great item. So again, going back to the scalloped edge, presentation is everything. So if I was going to use, I won't do it because I love bread, but if I was going to use like a chef's knife or anything else like that, if I didn't have a quality item like a scalloped edge, I'd be destroying the product. And my chef would probably be yelling at me that, I'm not using the right item.
Oh, look how nice and
Nice
those
and
are
thin.
great. A little bit of oil on there, some garlic, make some nice crostinis. I know we've tried cutting. Sometimes the students will take a regular French knife, figure we can do everything in the French knife, and they'll cut a cake, and it's just crumbs everywhere.
Right, right.
Look at that. So nice, so easy to cut.
And the product on that doesn't get destroyed.
Nope. And making it super thin, it's very hard to do with certain knives, and that was a great one. So that was our scalloped knife.
See, we're all learning.
Scalloped knife. And that way that works.
So again, scalloped is more food service friendly.
Right.
Serrated, not so much.
Right, and that would be more for, I'm cutting fish, I'm going to do chum, I'm going to cut some bigger piece of meat and then finish work later.
Right.
Perfect.
So actually, while I got you here, this is actually one of the other items that we make because we do a lot more besides chef's knives and everything else, is actually our Swiss peeler. So this is a great carbon Swiss steel. It's a great item. Stainless steel or plastic. So
left-handed or right-handed?
So it's right-handed.
Okay. So, because sometimes people come in left-handed. Let's see, can we do it left-handed?
Try it.
Yes, we can.
You can.
So it can be either way. I tend to do everything both hands. Wow, this is very, very nice. And what's nice is because as you get older, your hands tend to change. Like mine have a lot of arthritis, so it has a nicer hold on it. it cuts super easy. I could probably even, if I'm doing a nice European cucumber, I can make some design in it.
Right.
Too. Did you want me to peel the whole thing?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Is that why you gave it to me?
Yeah.
Ah, make me
instead of me talking about it, sometimes it's nice to visually see
someone
how
doing
well
it,
a product.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look at
This is a brand new item as well. Not a lot of people know about this, but it's great for the house. Basically, anything with a good skin, you know, it's a good peeler. So. But even if you wanted to do, you know, something like a chef's knife on it, if you want to square it off or anything like that, I don't know if you want to do that with a potato, but.
Well, show me what, and what I usually do is, you remember these are round. So if I'm going to cut, or I'm teaching on cutting, I want to create somewhere that it's not going to do that. And so which way I'm cutting or whatever shape, you always want, I only do one square, one part, so it doesn't move. You can demonstrate and I'll play around with it.
Sure.
Because you remember when things are rolling, and I always think students or young children, yeah, look how nice potato chips. There you go. You want to make sure things don't roll, because if you slip, you know, knives cut. You remember that. A sharp knife cuts a nice smooth cut, where a dull knife will cut a much more dangerous edge on something. So if it slips and it cuts your finger open or off, again.
The most dangerous thing in the kitchen that I've learned is a dull knife. Because a clean knife, like you're saying, if you do cut yourself, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because it does happen. I think I'd rather be cut by a very sharp knife than a dull knife, because there is a lot of health reasons that can go into it.
It's easier to put the pieces back together.
Exactly. That's a good thing, too. That's a great thing. With that being said, too, there are companies out there that don't have the quality control like Dexter does, because in our facility, I don't mean to cut you off, but in our facility, we quality control everything that we do. Everything from testing if the knife is correct, sanitizing the knives, like the SaniSafe. We throw a special sealant in between the handle and the steel to prevent any bacteria from growing in there. Some other companies and some other people out there really don't take those precautions. And that's why you might see, you know, when you go to a dollar store, you see those $1 knives. They're $1 for a reason. They're cheaply made. There could be health hazards that go along with it.
Now, what I would use the French knife for what other type? Just our bigger pieces of cutting? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, it's more of your universal. I mean, you can be using that on fruits, veggies, meats, carrots, like we had before, but it's just like the potatoes.
Now, you said on tomato. I shouldn't use it on a tomato, though.
No, it's very tough, and the only reason I say that is because when you look at a tomato and all the products that go inside of it, you know, if I was just going to cut it, it's going to cut through because it's a Dexter knife, but.
Yeah, you give it a little resist and it destroys it. Yeah.
And it destroys it. So I like to showcase a lot of cool stuff that Dexter does besides some of the big products that we make. And one of them we call it the tomato knife. And you'll notice it's very skinny, very skinny, even smaller than the scallop. Still follows the same profile as the scalloped edge, but it's a lot lighter. So when you're going after a tomato where you need all that inside product to remain there, very thin cut.
Nice to, if you want the thinner, you know, nicer on your, again, it's presentation. You want them cut even, you want to have a different look to it.
Right.
You don't want to have it to fight. You don't want it to, all the seeds to come out and be mushy on that.
Right.
And this tomato's pretty ripe, so it could actually squish out a little bit, so you don't want that. This looks, look how nice this looks. Then we might end up having something to eat for lunch later. We're all about eating around here.
So regardless if you're at home or if you're at work, you know, with Dexter, we want to make sure that you have every item for every job. That's why we have 2,300 items. There's a lot of jobs out there. But something as small as, you know, a tomato or something as big as a watermelon, we have every knife for every job, and it's all edge profiling that goes along with it.
This one's nice, but it has cloth. Wouldn't, you know, there's a little bit of, it looks like, was it velvet?
Velvet.
Because wouldn't that have any problem with, you know, sanitation or?
No, because what ends up happening is after you're done cleaning your products, like most of our Dexter ones, that's one of the big things, like Chef Gloria is talking about, is you don't want to be putting these in the dishwasher. You don't want to be putting these, I know it's very tough. People still do it, but when you're at home, you know, and you want something to go to distance, you got to take care of it. You got to give it that TLC because it will give you that TLC back.
I'm told I can't put my cutting board in the dishwasher, my knives.
No.
If it can't go in a dishwasher and washing machine, that's a problem. But I end up doing that.
No, I get that.
Okay.
So after you're cleaning them and you dry them, the velvet, what it does is it actually takes all that moisture out. So the moisture that's inside that guard, it's non-existent. So all the velvet will do is protect that knife, protect it from, you know, corrosion, just like the knife is supposed to be anyway. But it does happen, especially when it's sitting in a sink, because people do that sometimes.
Yeah, that time, you know, one of my pet peeves is never any knives in the sink.
Right.
Off to the side in a container, even at home, because the kids will just throw it in there, and then next thing you know, your hand is in there. And certain little things, like when I was wiping this, I made sure the blade was away, like this, because I watched a girl one time do this, and as she cut her hand right open, with a sharp knife, it goes right through. It's like just very easy cutting meats for that. Good. But once it starts getting dull, then how would I sharpen it? Can I send it to somebody? So
you can do, absolutely, you can do that if you don't trust yourself. But if you want to save you some money, I'll actually walk right over to you. Dexter, with all the edges that we do and all the products that we make, we also make sharpeners. And you'll notice I actually have a few that are up here, and I'll kind of describe the difference of few and the process that goes to resharpening your products. But I'm just going to grab a blue one. If you notice too, I brought a couple of different colored, you know, handles and whatnot. Beyond the typical white and black that we offer, we do offer colored handles. And the reason behind that is we do have HACCP restrictions too with our items.
And what's HACCP?
So HACCP stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. So if you're in a commercial market kitchen, and a lot of times you might see color cutting boards, if they don't have that, or if you want to color associate with the handles as well, you can do that.
And that's so that way nothing gets cross-contaminated.
No cross-contamination.
So hopefully. Blue would be what?
So blue would be your shellfish.
Okay, seeing yellow, I know red is meat. You can have green as vegetables. That's a great way for organizing in a commercial area. So because there are so many people with allergens, you know, problems and stuff like that, nuts, or is that what the brownish one is, nuts?
For cooked meats.
Oh, really?
So raw meat's red, tan for cooked meats.
Oh, and purple?
Purple would be for allergen-free.
Okay. See, that's my new thing.
See, there you go.
See,
now we're all learning today.
We're all learning today.
So.
This is the one thing I absolutely hate doing.
It's tough. It is very tough.
It's a noise thing. When I had braces, it would create that noise.
Gotcha.
So I make my husband do it.
Okay. It's very scary too, and especially at home, because if you notice, a lot of times chef's knives or chef kits that you can buy come with something like a sharpener.
Right.
And some people will be like, what do I use this for? The purpose of it, and a lot of 9 times out of 10, they're sending you something like a honing steel. You can call this a honing steel, butcher steel. I hear people call it all the time. I like calling it a butcher steel. Now the purpose of a butcher steel that comes generally in a block set is what it's doing is it's resetting that original edge on that steel.
It's like the feathers.
Right.
Because you create feathers. And that's one thing it was an easy way to demonstrate that you get all this rough edge and you start sharpening and you get these feathers. So you just want them to be realigned, and that's what the honing steel, the butcher steel will do.
So like Chef Gloria was telling, when you take a knife, you know, like a chef's knife comes out of the package, what's happening is that original edge is super sharp, ready to go, all right? And over time, as you're cutting like we just were, those original teeth that are on that edge are gonna start to impede on each other. So doing something like a butcher steel, which is made up of a heavier carbon steel, very heavy, you can feel for yourself, obviously you guys can't. What it's doing is it's resetting that original edge that was on that steel. It's not saying it's giving it a new edge. It's not resharpening it. It's just resetting that original edge. And this is where people get a little confused, is because over time what you're doing of cutting, resetting, cutting, resetting, that original edge, those teeth, are going to start to break off. Okay? So that's where something that we offer at Dexter, we call it a diamond steel, which you'll notice it's got these, you know,
it has that nice little rough,
you can hear it. You can hear it. And what the diamond steel is used for is after you reset that edge, that it's going to be dull. There's no such thing as a magic knife. It's going to be dull over time. What the diamond steel will do after you run it a few times on each side is essentially, it's almost like a snake when it sheds its skin. It's going to shave off steel and give you a brand new feathered edge. So it's almost like resetting the whole process to begin again with the butcher steel. So you're using the butcher steel probably, it's like a 5-to-1 ratio. Every 5 times you touch it up on a butcher steel, a new edge has to go on.
That's what I needed to know.
Right.
Because I see the kids all the time, but then and they'll go on there, then they'll try on a stone and then come back. So it's a 5-to-1 that would be
5-to-1 ratio is
and if you're working with meat more or you're doing a lot of cutting, it would be, yeah. So
I'll actually just demonstrate both in the techniques that I've learned and what helps. I'm not going to use your cutting board. I don't want to ruin it anymore.
That's okay. No, that's
yeah?
okay.
You sure? All right.
It is. I'm going to take it home and use it. So
yeah, that's true. So there's multiple tools or multiple techniques that we offer with Dexter. And if you don't believe me, you can actually go on our website or on YouTube and watch all the same videos that we do for sharpening or for cutting, anything like that, and how the tools are used and what they're used for. So what I do and what I've been taught is I always like to put a towel down, and I'll show you 2 ways that you can do this. But the first one is I want to hold the steel in my left hand and put it down on the table. And the reason I put a cloth down is because if I didn't, I'm going to start wobbling all over the place. So that's why I put the cloth down. Now I kind of use the hand guards to my own protection here, but I like to put the heel of the blade on the steel, and I just put it up at a 90-degree angle. And what I'm doing is I'm raising it probably about 25 degrees, almost in line with that hand guard. And I have this whole steel to use to resharpen. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a nice firm grip downwards, and I'm just going to go down the steel.
Yeah.
It's a gross sound, but when you hear that, it means you're doing something.
Yeah.
Nice little flex.
See, it doesn't take a lot of energy. It's just a very light.
No one is the Gordon Ramsays or the Emeralds of the world. You see them going every which way.
It's for show.
It's for show. And as long as you're hitting the steel going both directions at the in the same direction, because you can't go one way downwards another way, because the feathers, if they're not hitting both straight up, you got one going this way, one going that way, your knife is dead and you just got to restart. But again, all you're doing is you're coming down, put it flat in the steel, and this is what you can do at home too. Put it flat in the steel, raise it out about 25 degrees from butt to tip, come down, giving it some good pressure, butt to tip, coming down. No one needs to be fast. It's it's scary because a lot of times people will hold it up. You can hold it up too. It's just a little.
That comes with
it's
time
scary
and experience.
For me. Yeah, it's scary for me, and for anyone at home too. No one wants to get hurt at home. So that's one of the big things. So again, over time, like I was saying, of you resetting and destroying that edge, eventually it's going to break and destroy. So that's where the diamond steel comes into effect. So same situation, putting it down on the table.
It's great having the guards using the hand guards, because then you know where it starts, where it ends.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting sound.
Yeah, it's not user friendly.
Yeah. So if you ever had braces, you can feel the metal. I can taste metal now, or fillings are wonderful.
But what that is doing, again, is that's shaving off that old edge.
Old jet, and then creating
giving you a new one.
edge.
Right.
Now we have different, types of sharpening here. You see different ones in the store for people.
Right.
Are they as good or under desperation?
No. So it's a desperation. If you need something quick, you can pull something out like the Edge 2. This is something that we offer too. It basically, it's great too, because it's not a handstone where you don't have to freak out about hitting the exact angle, because it's already there.
It's already doing it for
so
you.
it's doing the process of the butcher steel and then the polishing stones as the diamond or just the finishing touch.
See, for home, that would be all over that one, because again, you have someone not used to doing this, or they don't want to, and
right. So again, it's super simple. Keep your knuckles away from it, and you're just dragging it through the stones. Because what it's doing is it's already
on both sides.
Right. It's already pre-selected the angle of the blade, which is about 14 or 15 degrees on each side. Because with ours, if you were to bounce a laser off of it, we figure that about 35 degrees is where we want to be for our product, because that is the correct edge where it's going to be long-lasting, corrosion resistant, the whole 9 yards. So, but again, super simple.
Oh, that's even a different noise.
Yeah, you're learning all new noises, all new things today.
I'm getting cold chills as we speak.
But it's doing a quick job versus a honing steel where you're more in control. This is a quick touch up. You can do it, especially if you're at home. But if you're like in a commercial market kitchen or anything like that, that's not going to do the job.
I have one in my camper, you know, in case we need it for while we're out.
Which is fine, because at home you're not doing as much as someone that's in a meat market or anything like that. So by all means, you can do that to save yourself some money. That's no problem. We offer it, so that's why.
And this is? So
we actually have a tri-stone sharpener. Again, it's the same situation as the butcher and the diamond steel, as well as the hand-honed sharpener. So that you can put this on your workbench, you can put this just about anywhere, and it's the same process. What I like to do instead is I actually stand it up. I'm actually gonna put the towel down. People can lay it flat if you've ever used a whetstone or anything like that. You can lay it flat, absolutely. But for me, I like to just hold it straight out. So same thing again.
Same thing.
You just don't have the guards to protect yourself.
That's a much rougher,
it's a heavier grit.
Heavier grit.
So this is completely resetting my edge.
Okay. So that's like after a tough day of meat fabrication, or, you know, as we do it, breaking chocolate, you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So you'll bring from the heavier grit to a medium grit.
Medium grit, yep.
And then you have the softer grit. See, the importance of tools. You know, you have to have very good tools to work with. You have to work safely, especially in the kitchen. You want to make sure you have nice sharp knives, good cooking equipment, and great cutting boards to create your, you know, the safest environment that you have.
And one of the things too, after you use something like a diamond steel or a honing steel, clean off the knife, because a lot of the residue from that edge is going to be on the steel, or it's going to return onto the knife. So just give it a clean touch up, sanitize it, and you're good to go.
So that was E.
So now we're going to move to F.
F and chef.
F and chef. That's right. So the F in chef stands for flexibility, which is one of the biggest things, again, that can make or break a knife. So there is two ways that you can make something flexible, especially with steel. One is to use an inexpensive steel, where yes, it's going to be super flexible, but it is flimsy and it will break. And the other one, which is the insider trade that I'm going to tell you guys to keep an eye out for, is putting something that we call a precision grind, okay? So what I mean by that is somewhere embedded in the steel, you will not see it, but you will feel it, is a precision grind where we're taking a belt and we're going really tight in the area, where what it's going to do is, instead of bending at the tang, which is where the
where it attaches there,
where the handle attaches to the steel, this is the tang. What's that?
I love this edge on this.
Yep, so I'll get into that. So what we do on the precision grind is, instead of bending at the tang up here, is it's bending at the flex point. So instead of making, you know, a C shape, it's making a J shape.
J shape, yes.
So if I was a baker and I need to get all the frosting out, you know, I have the ability to get around basically the corners of the bowl.
Right.
In return for another use.
That's a great idea.
Right. So flexibility, again, what we do is we put a precision grind where it's designed to bend at that flex point instead of at the tang.
Instead of at the tang up
Because
top.
if it's going to bend at the tang, that product is going to snap. So say I'm on the grill and I'm cooking a hamburger or something like that, and I want to go under my product, but it goes at the tang and I pick it up, it's going to break.
And that was nice to just pick it up with that. And
no problem. Get under the product. Another cool thing that we do about our turners, because a turner is a huge asset in the kitchen.
And I've never noticed them.
So what we do is we actually, we bevel the sides so you can see that process on there.
Yeah,
and the purpose of that is it allows you to chop on the grill or scoop under product on the grill to flip over.
I think I'm going to have to order some of those. Because
you might have
to.
Yeah. So to go along with our Sandy Safe, we actually have something called Cool Blue. Which is, we introduce some nylon into the handle. So instead of burning at 250 degrees like any other plastic, we bump it up to 500.
That's great, because a lot of times I'll see big melty spots over here.
So
and
that's one of the big things that we offer too. But again, flexibility, anything like a boning knife, fillet knife, anything that needs to get close to the skin, it's huge in the kitchen. And you don't want to have a crappy product, because if it could be flexible, absolutely, but you might be struggling, you know, to get that, you know, that exact hit without something that's designed to be flexible.
So let's go over the chef again.
Sure.
C.
So the C stands for the chemical compounds. So it helps you understand this is what's going into my items, my carbon, chromium, linoleum, vanadium, and obviously some special ingredients. But to remember that stuff, you know, just look on the steel. And you can even ask, just go, hey, what's this made out of? You know,
Yeah.
and if they don't know, then that's a problem. But you know, it's for you, and you can easily look this stuff up. You can Google it. Google is my best friend too.
Yeah.
So the H again stands for heat treatment, which is giving it the soul, the steel its soul. And what it's doing is it's the process of raising the temperature and dropping the temperature in a certain amount of time to basically mix all the chemicals together. So it's almost like baking a cake, where you have the ingredients, but if it's not quality controlled, anyone can bake a cake. You know, but it's all about...
I wouldn't say that, but that's okay.
That's true, but if it's not quality controlled at a certain degree, it's not going to be the same.
Right.
So all of our items follow that same heat treatment process because we all want it to be the same great quality steel product for everything. The E again is for the edge profiling, which we described with the straight edge that goes into chef's knife for your slicing and dicing. The scalloped edge, which is your breads, it cuts hard crusts or rinds. Your Grant edge or your dual edge, which is a roast slicer, and that's really good for anything that has, you know, a hot meat like a brisket, or it basically traps that moisture as you're cutting, so you're not getting a suctioning problem. Then the non-food service friendly one is the serrated, which is meant for ripping and tearing. That one they don't care about, you know, presentation at all. And then the F obviously is the flexibility portion of it, where it's designed to be flexible where you need it, like a fillet knife, boning knife. You know, you don't need that on a chef's knife, anything like that. But
you
a
need
turner.
Flexibility to be the effing chef.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that was a great demonstration. Now, how can people buy these online, or you know?
So for an end user ability, you have the ability to go on our website at www.dexter1818.com. You can see anything of ours that's already on there. There is multiple lines, and it basically tells you what's in each line. Now, you can get anything from plastic, rubber, wood, anything that's going to look nice in the house. I'd probably go wood or rubber. It's definitely a lot better. And yeah, I mean, you can look on there. We do have distributors that are around that might help you out a little bit more to get you some variety. You can check on our website again. You can find distributors near us.
And for us, we can, you know, anything, if you contact DCTV, we can get you the information to Erik, or locally where you can find or buy these products. But we did it because we wanted quality products in the kitchen. You know, your kitchen is your space. It's a safety space, but it's also where a lot of things happen around the cutting board. And so a good set of knives, a good board, your good dishes. And as we progress through all these different shows, you'll see that how much the kitchen and the cutting area will benefit you as a family, as a person, both inside and out, because we take care and we take pride in what we have. So thank you very much, Erik, for this awesome presentation of your knives. And again, that's why Bristol Community College, we use these knives, because it is a great product for our students to learn. And welcome, and come back again. We can try some different things and play around with some different knives and demonstrations soon. Right. And I think I'm going to make an order on these things.
Yeah, right.
And thank you again, and we'll see you soon at the cutting board.